Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking a bit of a detour, stepping out of the usual and into, well, the garden, or at least into some gardening notes.
That's right. We're looking at the unpredictable world of trying to get seeds to actually sprout and grow.
Exactly. Our mission today, to really dig into this specific set of observation notes. It's a personal log tracking the first few weeks of a seed experiment.
And the subject is the peacock flower, Caesalpinia pulcherrima, a beautiful tropical plant. And our sources are these notes covering, the first 20 days since the seeds went into the soil?
Yeah, 20 days.
Yeah.
And the notes actually refer back to the original planting day as part 667, which is, just the grower's way of logging when it all started.
Right. The moment of truth when seeds meet soil.
So we're not just looking at, vague ideas. We have actual tracking data here. And the goal for you listening in is to quickly grasp what happened in this 20-day window.
Yeah, what worked, what clearly didn't. What are the successes and, maybe more importantly, the struggles that these notes reveal?
And there's this interesting layer, too. The grower is really, after one specific type, the red-flowered variety. We need to see how that desire shapes things.
Okay, so where do we start? The initial observation.
Right. Okay, let's dive into this a bit. 20 days after planting. You'd expect to see something, right?
Uh-huh. Some signs of life, hopefully.
But the first thing that really jumps out from these notes is what the grower calls a, quote, striking difference in development.
Ah, yes. Not surprising, but always notable. It's rarely a uniform process.
Definitely not here. It sounds like less of a neat row of sprouts and more, well, chaos. A whole spectrum of results.
Yeah, it really shows how different each seed, each potential plant can be, even from the same packet sown at the same time.
So the notes highlight this split, right?
They do. You've got, on one hand, the sprinters, as the notes seem to imply, a few seedlings that just took off.
Took off how? What does the log say?
It describes them as having enormously fast growth. Apparently, these successful ones are already pushing out their second, maybe even their third, pairs of true leaves.
Okay, true leaves. That's a specific term. For anyone maybe newer to gardening, what's the significance of having the second or third set of true leaves as opposed to the very first ones?
Great question. So the very first little leaf-like things you see pop up, those are the cotyledons. They're basically the seed's packed lunch.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Part of the seed itself.
Exactly. They provide the initial energy, but the true leaves, the ones that come after, they look more like the plant's actual adult leaves.
And they do the real work.
That's right. Once those true leaves unfurl, the plant is switching over. It's stopped relying on the seed's reserves and is starting to photosynthesize properly, making its own food.
So getting to the third pair of true leaves in just 20 days, that's significant.
Oh, absolutely. It means those few seedlings are really established and growing vigorously.
Yeah.
They are rocketing along, relatively speaking.
Okay, so you have the rockets on one side, and then the log contrasts that with the slow starters.
Yeah.
It sounds like some seeds are literally just starting to show signs of life.
Yes, exactly. The notes say some have just begun to germinate right around that 20-day mark, nearly 3 weeks after planting.
Wow. So it's like a race where some runners bolted from the blocks and others are, still stretching by the starting line.
That's a good way to put it. And this variability, this non-uniformity, it's pretty typical for many seeds, but it can be really frustrating if you're the one watching the tray every day.
I can imagine. You're waiting.
Right. But it's useful data for us, for the learner. It shows that even if you think you've given them all the exact same conditions, soil, water, temperature, light, there's still this inherent variability in the seeds themselves.
Seed quality or just genetic lottery?
Could be viability, could be slight genetic differences, could be the seed coat toughness we might get into later. Point is, you can check your pots for 2 weeks, see absolutely nothing.
Yep.
And then, bam, day 19, one little guy decides it's time. It really, really demands patience.
Okay, patience is one thing. But let's shift from the speed of the few successful ones to the actual number of successful ones.
Ah, yes. The germination rate.
Because reading these notes, the sheer quantity of seeds that did nothing, that seems to be the bigger story here. This is where it gets really interesting, looking at the overall success rate.
Yeah, this brings us to the hard numbers in the log, and they're, let's say, sobering.
How sobering? What did the grower actually count?
Okay, so the notes mention sowing over 15 seeds. It's not super precise, but let's say maybe 16, 18 seeds.
Okay, more than 15.
Right. And out of that batch, at the 20-day check-in, the grower counted only 4 successful germinations.
Just 4. Out of potentially 15, 16, 18 seeds.
Just 4.
Oof. Okay, so what does that work out to percentage-wise? And maybe more importantly, is that like expected for this kind of plant, or is that really low?
Well, doing the rough math, if it was, say, 15 seeds exactly, 4 out of 15 is about 26.6%. Let's call it 27%.
27%.
Yeah. The notes call it a rather low germination rate of approximately 27%. And to your question, how does that stack up?
Yeah.
If you were planting something easy, like, I don't know, radishes or marigolds, 27% would be terrible. You'd expect like 85%, 90%, even higher.
Okay, so it is low then.
It is low, but, and this is a big but, for a tropical species like Caesalpinia pulcherrima, especially one with a hard seed coat, the story's a bit more complex.
How so? What's special about this seed coat?
Well, this species is known for having a really dense, tough outer layer. It's a survival mechanism in its natural habitat.
Designed to protect it.
Exactly. Protect it and also delay germination until conditions are absolutely perfect. Sometimes that might mean waiting for, say, heavy rains or even needing to pass through an animal's digestive system.
Wow, really?
Or sometimes physical abrasion or even heat, like from a fire, can trigger it. The point is that hard coat is a barrier.
Okay, and the notes mention the grower wonders about viability or quality issues.
Right. And that's possible. But given the low rate and the known nature of this seed, something else seems more likely.
Okay.
A missing preparation step. Specifically, something called scarification.
Scarification. Okay, I've heard that term. For the listeners who might not know, what is that exactly?
It's basically the process of intentionally damaging that hard seed coat before you plant it. You might nick it carefully with a knife or rub it on sandpaper.
Just enough to weaken it?
Precisely. You're creating a weak spot, an easier way for water to get in and for the little sprout to get out. You're essentially overcoming that natural barrier manually.
So if the grower didn't do that, or maybe didn't do it effectively enough,
then that 27% rate might have less to do with the seeds being inherently bad or, non-viable.
and more to do with the fact that the water just couldn't get through that tough shell to kickstart the process.
Exactly right. If that hard coat stays perfectly intact, the seed can just sit there, dormant, sometimes for a very, very long time, even in perfect soil conditions.
So the log doesn't actually say if they scarified or not.
It doesn't detail the pretreatment, no, but that very low success rate. It strongly suggests that many of those other 11-plus seeds probably failed simply because they couldn't absorb water, they couldn't imbibe.
Okay, so that shifts the potential diagnosis, doesn't it? From just bad seeds to maybe improper technique.
It really does. It suggests a specific, actionable thing the grower could change for the next attempt. Scarify properly.
Right. Now, there's that other layer we mentioned earlier, the motivation. This grower isn't just planting any peacock flower. They're specifically after the red-flowered variety.
Ah, yes. The quest for a specific color.
Does hunting for a particular, maybe less common color variation sometimes mean you end up with, well, less reliable seeds to begin with?
It absolutely can, yeah. Think about it. If it's a rarer variety, maybe the seeds come from a smaller supplier, maybe quality control isn't as rigorous as for the standard type.
Or they've been stored longer.
Or stored longer, exactly. Or maybe the parent plants weren't as robust. So yes, the very act of chasing that specific aesthetic, that desired red bloom, could indirectly be a factor contributing to that low 27% rate.
So higher aesthetic demands might sometimes correlate with a higher risk of, well, seed issues.
It's often a trade-off, unfortunately. You might get the potential for that unique color, but maybe lower germination or less vigorous plants.
Okay, this feels like a really important point for anyone listening who's trying seeds, especially tricky ones. If your germination rate is disappointing, before you blame your gardening skills, maybe double-check the specific needs of that species. If it's known for a hard coat, like this one.
Assume scarification isn't just optional, it's probably necessary. Do your homework on the pre-treatment needed.
Got it. Match the prep to the seed type.
Precisely. Okay, so we've covered the slow start, the low numbers. Where do we go next? The long haul.
Yeah, let's talk about the long game. Because even for those lucky 4 seedlings that did sprout, this isn't like planting a bean and getting beans in 2 months.
Yeah. Oh, not at all. This shifts the focus completely. We've got maybe 27% success getting them started, but now comes the time investment.
What's the expected timeline, according to the notes, for this particular flower to actually get, well, flowers?
The grower logged the typical time frame for Caesalpinia pulcherrima grown from seed. It generally takes around 8 months.
8 months?
8 months, give or take, from seed to first bloom. This is definitely not a quick turnaround annual. It's It's a commitment.
Wow, 8 months. So let's put that in perspective. If these seeds were sown, say, in October,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be seeing any flowers until, what, June, July of the next year.
That's about right. The log actually suggests a realistic hope is seeing flowers next year, likely around June, assuming everything goes well with those few seedlings over winter and spring.
That just changes the whole calculation, doesn't it? That level of patience required.
Completely. It totally reframes the whole decision. If your goal was, say, having some bright red flowers for a garden party next March.
Yeah, starting these seeds the previous autumn is
Yeah.
not the way.
It's not going to happen. You're signing up for almost a year of care, watering, feeding, protecting them from pests or cold, all just to get to that first potential bloom. And that's assuming those 4 seedlings even survive that long.
Which naturally leads into the alternative that the grower mentions in the notes, right?
Uh-huh. It's a shortcut.
Just buying a plant that's already grown.
Exactly. If waiting 8 months isn't practical, or if the risk of losing those precious few seedlings along the way feels too high, the simple, pragmatic option is to just go buy an established plant from a nursery.
And this is where that desire for the specific red variety really comes back into play, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It becomes the driving factor.
Hmm.
The notes emphasize the search is for the specific red-flowered variety.
So it's not just general impatience. It's about securing that particular outcome.
Right. They need the red one. And the seed route is proving, well, unreliable on 2 fronts.
Yeah.
Low quantity, that 27% germination rate.
And long waiting time, the 8 months.
Exactly. So the seed path looks pretty uncertain for delivering that specific red flower in a reasonable time frame.
It really highlights that classic gardener's dilemma, doesn't it? The satisfaction of growing something yourself right from the very beginning.
Versus the certainty and immediacy of buying a mature plant that you know is the right color and will flower soon.
Especially when the seed route is proving so difficult, both in getting them started and the long wait. It makes that shortcut finding and buying the specific red one look very, very tempting.
It does, and it's kind of ironic, isn't it? The intense desire for that specific red color might have led them to source potentially lower quality seeds.
All right.
And now that same intense desire is pushing them towards abandoning the seed process altogether and just buying the guaranteed red plant.
The quest for the specific look dictates the process and potentially the decision to bypass the process.
Yeah. Well put. If you absolutely must have that red and the seeds aren't cooperating or the wait is too long, you pivot. You go straight for the guaranteed product.
Okay, so let's try and pull together the main takeaways from this 20-day log for our listener. What have we learned?
Okay. I think first, germination and early growth can be super variable. Even in the same batch, you get sprinters and slowpokes, probably due to inherent seed differences.
Right, variability is key. What else?
Second, the overall germination rate here was low, around 27%. And while seed quality could be a factor, especially with specific varieties,
The bigger culprit might be skipping or messing up the pretreatment, like scarification, needed for this type of hard-shelled seed.
exactly. Technique matters hugely with seeds like these.
Okay, and the third big thing.
The time commitment. This isn't a quick win. The peacock flower takes about 8 months from seed to bloom. That long wait fundamentally changes the equation.
It forces the grower to really weigh that long-term patience against, well, the convenience and certainty of just buying a mature plant.
Yep. Those seem like the core lessons from these first 20 days of notes.
So what does this all really mean for you listening in? I think it shows that gardening, especially from seed, it's rarely straightforward. It's messy, it's unpredictable, and we see that classic tension playing out perfectly here. The slow, demanding, sometimes frustrating process of nurturing life from a tiny seed.
Battling against that strong, focused desire for a very specific, almost immediate visual payoff in this case, that beautiful red-flowered variety.
It really is the journey versus the destination, isn't it? But amplified by the long timeline and the low odds of success seen here.
Uh-huh.
All right, so considering everything we've untacked, the likely need for better seed prep like scarification and that significant 8-month wait, here's something for you to think about.
Okay.
Let's imagine the grower masters the scarification. They figure out the technique, and next time they get a great germination rate, say 80% sprout.
Okay, much better odds.
Much better. But they still face that 8-month journey for each of those seedlings. So the question is, does the value they place on getting that specific red variety justify the 8 months of daily care, the risk of losing plants along the way?
Even with better germination.
Yeah. Or does the deep satisfaction of finally achieving that coveted red flower through their own effort still pale compared to the sheer convenience of walking into a nursery and buying the finished product instantly?
What's the true value of that 8-month investment, that whole process, if the end result, the red flower, is just sitting there, available to buy today?
Something to ponder. What does that specificity, that process, truly add for you? Until next time, keep those observations coming and keep those logs detailed.